everyone, I'm author Sandra Wilson, and this is another step along the Storybook Trail. The Storybook Trail videos are meant to inspire you to write a story of your own. Each month we offer a different video which offers a different inspiration, a different story building skills, or a different idea to keep you on the steps towards creating a story of your own. Down below in the description there is a link to my website where you can find some creative writing books to help expand your knowledge and your story building skills, ideas for your stories. But also it's a way to contact me if you'd like to share your story with me, because I'd love to read it. All right, so today's topic on the Storybook Trail is mythology. So mythology are ancient stories created many times to help explain things. So people that didn't understand, where lightning comes from, created a story of the god Zeus. And when he gets mad, he throws thunderbolts. So those stories from ancient time can also inspire some ideas for stories of our own, some modern day ideas. Maybe it is to try to explain something. We have a lot of scientific discoveries that help explain things for us, but what if we didn't? How would we explain a whirlpool, or how would we explain lightning, those kinds of things that even though we know what they are, if we imagine a world where we didn't know what we were, what could we make it to explain it? What could we make the thunder sound be in our imagination? So those are ways we can inspire a story idea. Some other ways is to take myths that, are just sort of fun ideas. For example, if we look at the moon, there's a lot of myths behind the moon. For example, is the moon made out of cheese? Well, that was a story that's been told over and over again. Of course, we know the moon isn't made out of cheese, but what if it was? You could take that idea, that mythology, that fable, and you could write a story about visiting the moon and getting cheese, or maybe there's mice that live on the moon and eat the cheese, and that's why there's craters. Obviously, we've reached the moon. There's an old picture of a rocket poking the moon in the eye because we always thought of the man on the moon. So is there a man that lives on the moon? Is the moon a man? What happens when the rocket lands on the moon? There's another story ideas. What about Martians or aliens that visit the moon or live on the moon? There's another story idea, just again based on some mythology or fables that people have thought to discover. Now this one has a rabbit on it too, because there is a myth about rabbits in the moon, and I'll leave that for you to look up for inspiration for an idea as well. So you could take something like the moon or Mars or a different planet, maybe the underground. What might be underground? Maybe it's something that has been discovered in your backyard and you don't know what it is. You've dug a hole and then there's something in that hole and you're not sure what it is. How did it get there? There's lots of, we used to say we could dig all the way through the world if we dug far enough. Now, obviously that would not happen, but it's these stories or these thoughts, these ideas, these childhood things that can all be inspiration for a story. So, things that maybe grandma used to say in offhand, or sayings that they used to have at school. Things like that. Those are all kind of mythologies, kind of fables that kind of come with culture, comes with generations, come through time, and we can take those, and even though we might know an explanation for it now, we can think, well, what if we didn't have an explanation? How could we explain that? How could we explain that in a story? Can we decide, well, if the moon was made of cheese, who would live there? What would happen? If, when we have that eclipse and the sun and the moon cross, does that change the cheese? Does it curdle? Who knows, right? So that's the fun idea of taking that mythology or taking that idea, that fable that has been around for years and years, and looking at it further, not trying to explain it by science, but explain it with our imagination. How could we develop that? What if there was a world with lollipop trees? Who would live there? What kinds of things would go on? Would they have some complications, some problems with having lollipop trees? Would people today we have the deforestation. We have a lot of people chopping down trees, causing problems for our earth. Well, what if people were licking all the trees, the lollipop trees? What kind of problems would that cause for Candyland or whatever land you've created made out of candy. So these are all great ideas inspired by the ancient stories, the old stories, the sayings that used to be told long ago that tried to explain things that were a little unexplainable. So let's use our imagination to explain them. So I hope you have enjoyed this next step on the Storybook Trail, and join us next time for another step as we get closer to that story that you're going to create. All right, everybody. Bye now.